I didn't flinch when I walked into the courtroom. Not when my mother rolled her eyes like I was the stain on her life. Not when my father lowered his head, ashamed to even look at me. Shame was their weapon once, not anymore. Then the judge saw me. He froze. He leaned forward, squinting, lips parting like he was seeing a ghost. "Wait, is that really her?" he whispered to the clerk. And the entire room went silent. That was the moment they realized the girl they discarded wasn't gone. She had returned, and she wasn't empty-handed. I remember when it began, when betrayal first crept into my life like smoke under a locked door. It wasn't my parents. Their betrayal was old news, worn into me since childhood. I expected nothing from them. No, this cut deeper. It was Daniel. The man who promised me loyalty when I had nothing else. The man who swore we'd build a life together, away from the wreckage of my family. I believed him. I let him in. I gave him everything. For a while, it was perfect, or at least it looked that way. His hand in mine, his voice in the dark, whispering that I was safe. His plans, our future sketched out like a map. But lies have a way of leaking, and Daniel was careless. First it was the late nights, the silences, the phone always face down. Then, one night, I caught the reflection of his screen in the glass. A message, not to me, not even to someone he respected. It was her, my mother. The sick part? She wasn't even discreet. She signed her messages with pet names. "Miss you. Can't wait." And Daniel, he responded like he'd been hers all along. I didn't break down. I didn't scream. I smiled. Because betrayal is a gift if you know how to unwrap it. From that night forward, my pulse slowed. My tears dried. Every word I spoke to Daniel was measured. Every glance I gave my mother was rehearsed. They thought they were playing me. But I was already writing the ending. Step 1. Evidence. I collected it all. Screenshots, bank transfers, hotel receipts, his texts, her emails. The trail of arrogance they left was almost insulting. Step 2. Silence. I didn't confront them. I kissed Daniel goodnight. I called my mother on Sundays, pretending not to notice the slight tremor in her voice. They mistook my quiet for blindness. Step 3. Leverage. I hired the best attorney in the state, the kind of man who smelled blood in contracts. We mapped every angle: divorce settlements, fraud, hidden assets. Daniel had made financial moves in my name and with my mother's signature, illegal ones. He thought I wouldn't notice. I noticed everything. Step 4. The reveal. I waited, patiently, months of silence, months of pretending, until the court date was set. And that's how I ended up here. The daughter they threw away. The woman Daniel underestimated. The silence in the courtroom was thick, suffocating. My mother shifted in her seat, eyes darting to the files in my attorney's hands. She didn't know what I had. Not yet. Daniel smirked at first, that smug confidence he wore like armor. But it cracked the moment my lawyer dropped the first stack of evidence on the table. His messages, their photos, the wire transfers. The judge's eyes narrowed. The clerk whispered. The gallery murmured. Daniel leaned forward, his face draining. "What is this?" I didn't answer. I just looked at him the way you look at a man who's already fallen. Then the second stack hit the table. Fraud, money laundering, documents bearing both his name and hers. My mother's lipstick was practically stamped on the signatures. My father finally lifted his eyes, horror settling into his expression. He had been blind for so long, maybe by choice, not anymore. The judge spoke, his voice cutting through the tension. "Mr. Hale, Mrs. Rhodes, can you explain these?" Neither of them could. Daniel stammered. My mother pressed her lips together until they turned white. Their silence was confession enough. That was the climax. The moment power shifted. The moment I stopped being the victim and became the author of their ruin. My mother looked at me then, not with disgust, but with fear. Real fear. She finally saw me. Daniel tried to reach across the table, whispering my name like an apology could erase years of betrayal. I pulled my hand back, slowly, deliberately. They had lost. When the gavel came down, it was more than a verdict. It was the sound of chains breaking. Daniel stripped of his assets, my mother facing charges. Their reputations shattered in one afternoon. I walked out of that courtroom alone, but lighter, freer, and for the first time in years, I wasn't haunted. I wasn't broken. I was whole. Because betrayal only destroys you if you let it. I didn't let it. I turned it into justice. And as the doors closed behind me, I smiled to myself.